One of the things you'll realize is that you will often be alone and isolated and will feel very lonesome when you do this venturing thing that I talk about. So, what am I talking about again? Is the idea of trading off what we know today and how we understand it, investing in something that you don't quite understand, that's ambiguous, alternatives that are ambiguous, and then not knowing what to actually invest into in terms of the alternatives that you can choose. If you're to do this, is that you realize that it's a very, very lonely process. And a lot of people, if you almost look at almost all people that talk about their leadership experience or listen to, listen to speeches or um, anybody that has done this to any extent, right? They've written books about it, is that they'll talk about the loneliness of it, of leadership. And they call it sort of lonely at the top. And what it is that you're just trading off how we understand the world for some world that only you really see. And it's not clear to a lot of other people. It's your job to try to convince of people, not convince, but getting them to come along on your journey that you're so excited about. And it's this feeling that you'll have is a great deal of isolation, I guess. And what you'll see is that, when you talk about this to other people and you tell them the sort of basic form of how all of this works, they inevitably, and particularly if you're good at it and you're very convincing, they might get excited about it. They might think this is a great idea and they'll do it for maybe a week, 2 weeks. They'll realize that it's difficult and they'll realize they want to quit. They want to go do something else. And it's inevitably been my story. And that's why I almost always at this point done this sort of venturing thing so long in a lot of areas. So, getting an education, staying in school for a long time, trying to mentor other people to do this kind of stuff, creating a new venture, an actual entrepreneurial venture where I'm trying to put things together on my own, um, you know, doing things or even trying to parent in a healthy and happy way that doesn't feel reactionary or, doesn't feel as icky, I guess. I don't know if that's a great word to use, but where you're actually thoughtful about it. Um, it often feels like you're the only one. And you'll find out that many people just they'll try and they'll realize it's difficult and want to quit. If you're to look and you're to ask therapists, for example, a lot of therapists will say that they get a lot of people that come in, they do a couple of sessions, and then they leave and they go do something else. Um, what you could do is take this as something that is morally defunct or problematic with everybody else, and that this is them not being able to do anything, or you simply just accept everybody as it is. You simply say it's hard for them, and they may not ever see it. They might know, they might have all of the information. I've had this conversation many times. Recently, just had it with my kids. Said people often know how to do these things. They have the information. They're told explicitly all of the time, how it is to eat healthy, how it is to have longevity, all of these things. And it's not about the information ever. There's a lot more to it that I don't think we quite understand. And maybe we'll never be able to understand. Some of that might be related to how you're raised, your environmental circumstance, the people that you're around, personality, and individual traits. But it could be more to it that we just don't simply see. It could be the sociology of how we understand things in the world around us and how we understand it in our own culture. But ultimately, we struggle with doing things that are venturing. Most of us do. And even if we venture in one particular area and we achieve a really good in this particular area, we're probably dumped in other areas that other people would be frustrated in, say, no good, going into the unknown. So what you have to do is accept a lot of the loneliness, the isolation, the the experiences where you're the only one. A lot, right? That you just simply have to experience it as it is and just accept it and be okay with all of those experiences that you have. So on one side, you will feel frustrating if you try to accept things like that. But on another side, it's completely freeing because then it doesn't feel so bad about what you're actually doing. Because often you feel like either A, you're strange or unusual or peculiar because you're the only one that's doing it, or, isolated and lonely and all those kind of things. Or you just simply say, that's me. This is weird. And that's okay. And another thing to realize is that you may not necessarily be so different and so isolated. And it's because you're fixated on this one particular thing that you realize that there's much more generalization that happens between what you're actually doing and the venturing that you do and what everybody else does and how they understand the world. You've just categorized your thought that these particular things are different and unique. So I guess what I'm saying with this is, despite the fact that, yes, you'll feel a lot of loneliness when you do this because it's very difficult for most people. But at the same time, you have to accept it as it's simply just an experience that you're going to have. And the more that you accept it, the more that you let go of things and you can move forward. All right.